Non-absolutism and perceptions of reality. What is reality and non-absoluteness? How perceptions shape our view of reality. The same way the truth. How does that express the nature of reality? Throughout human history, there have been many religions and many branches of these religions and many spiritual paths have emerged and are still existing. Some of these spiritual paths have emerged some hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago, and then they disappeared. They were not continued for some reasons. And some of them have remained and have been developed or simplified, institutionalized, and so on. We can say that humanity can experience spirituality in many ways. And actually, humanity are spiritual beings experiencing physicality, not physical beings trying to experience spirituality. The reality is the other way around. Spiritual beings experiencing temporary physicality. What is reality? It completely depends on your senses, whether five senses, we may say physical senses or subtle senses. Reality also depends how it is experienced by different species. How do dolphins experience reality? Swimming in the oceans. Birds, how do they experience reality? So we're all living on the same planet, humans, animals, different kinds of species, and everyone is experiencing their life, their world, and their reality in many different ways. Too many conflicts have been waged in history in the name of truth. Too many wars were fought in the name of their gods and their truths. So clearly, all of that means that reality has been perceived through the mind, through the eyes of the differences, or fanaticism, again, which is a very rigid mind of only this way and nothing else is possible. So that is called fanaticism, extremism, and it can be very dangerous. All of that is mind, is not the truth. All of that is mind. Beliefs, extreme beliefs. Now, reality itself. Within five senses, we have humanity, and other species, animals have less, or some of them have maybe even more senses than humanity has. So when we go beyond these senses, we open to the spiritual domain. We come to Anda, universe. Pinda, physicality. Anda is the subtle planes. Even there are many different perceptions of what is reality, what is truth. It depends on all subtle senses, on perceptions. So those species who live in Anda or who have access to Anda reality are perceiving reality no longer in a physical sense, like smell, taste, touch, sight, hearing. They can do that also in Anda, but they have even more senses, a broader perspective, a broader awareness of reality. Now, if we go beyond Anda to the cosmic planes, how do we perceive reality there? Again, there are even higher subtle senses, and reality is even more expanded. It's cosmic reality, galaxies, planetary systems, cosmic spaces, the awareness of the seven rays, how they mold creation. It is a very deep and intricate, energetic, geometrical perception of reality, more fundamental blocks of creation and larger awareness. Now coming closer to a certain source of creation like awareness, which is Brahma Jyoti, the light of creation of our whole universe. What is the truth or reality there? There is a perception of all creation and all 8,400,000 different life forms. So awareness of 8,400,000 life forms. Each life form has different senses, different shapes. So a great diversity exists. And since awareness is the light, the source for this universe, it is already the truth and reality beyond duality. Duality has been a great obstacle for humanity and still is. So therefore, at certain levels of consciousness, such as inner love, unity, when people mature at these levels of consciousness, they start expressing their truths and even sometimes fighting about their truths because they can already perceive more and they have a valid viewpoint. But that viewpoint is valid, although it is limited. So you can have your own valid viewpoint, your own valid truth, but it is limited to your circumstance, to your perception, to your environment, to your situation. And when you try to force it onto somebody else, you get backfired right away. You come into argument. So even the spiritual truths, which are most commonly debated and argumentative, are usually positioned at the levels of consciousness, inner wisdom, inner love, unity. And therefore, everybody has a certain portion of validity of truth, but it's limited. It is correct, but only from that perspective. If we have somebody else who is also spiritually awakened, who also has his or her valid viewpoint and truth, but it's different from this valid viewpoint and truth. So what do you do then? So what does usually happen? Arguments happen. Therefore, spiritual awakening is coming to know your own truth first, but a greater awakening is realizing the truths of the others, the truths of everybody. No, this is a much broader consciousness. So at Divine Marga, we recognize that one has a different perception of reality at each different level of consciousness. One has a different individual personal perception due to their unique enneagram type as well. Also, cultural upbringing, the different societies in which one lives. Like the society in India is one way, the society in the United States is different way. There are these vast differences. So different levels of consciousness, different enneagram types, different societies. And they're all correct in some ways about their own life, their own truth, but in a limited way. Then we ask, so what is the ultimate truth, absolute truth? Well, it's very complex. It includes all multiplicity. The ultimate includes everything. It includes also duality. It includes non-duality. It includes the self and it includes non-self. The ultimate includes awareness and non-awareness and all little different truths. All of those are included in the ultimate as well. And in the ultimate, there is Jesus, there is Allah, there is Father God, and there is the Buddhist emptiness. Every god, every goddess, every degree, every different perception, all of it is included. Therefore, religions around the world, they all have a certain truth of what is God. God is love. God is peace. God is this and this and that. So they all have valid points. Therefore, it is the underlying unity of all religions. It is the underlying unity of all life forms. Even incompatible life forms are also included in the absolute. Therefore, everybody has something valid but incomplete or partial. So your valid perception, your valid truth is partial or incomplete. And this is what perception is, which is a slice of a cake. It's a sliced view of something larger, but having access only to that little portion. And especially when you reach the level of consciousness awareness, that is where there is the awareness itself, and there are perceptions of how you see reality, how you see the truth. Although many argue that awareness is the ultimate, we know that it's only halfway to what is ultimate. Actually, by a simple meditation, well, for us it's simple really, but for those who can access only awareness, it is difficult, of course. They don't know how to go beyond it. But going further above into the divine, from that place, going back to awareness, you can see how limited it is, how partial it is. So there's a clear difference. So it is saying that yes, it is possible to experience the ultimate truth, the ultimate reality, but it's very rare. Therefore, beings like Buddha instructed the middle way teaching to avoid extremism, and other religions also adopted their own safeguarding mechanisms. But these beings, like Jesus or Buddha or Sant Kabir Das, they all have experienced the living absolute truth, the living reality. And they have spoken about it in a unique way. Therefore, neither Buddha is the absolute and the ultimate and only way one can access that state of consciousness. Neither the only way is of Jesus or of Kabir. It is the multiplicity, diversity of ways that you can access that ultimate reality. And when you come closer and closer to it, you will become more and more open and less concerned about the beliefs, perceptions, viewpoints, or individual truths. Because you see for what they really are. You recognize as you rise to these higher states of consciousness, over time, you see more and more clearly what these different mechanisms are, what perceptions are, how do they shape different views of reality, what the different truths are.